Before you make an offer on a house, these are 3 questions you need to ask. I'm Amy Pecoraro, your Lombard expert, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to ask to win your dream home. The first question we want to ask the seller or the seller's side is, are there any offers on the property? First and foremost, we want to set ourselves up to know what we're up against. So we want to know if there's offers on the property, and if so, that's going to help us be more strategic with our offer. And if not, that might change our offer. We might not offer as much. If there's no competition, why would we up that price? If there's multiple offers, typically after doing a market evaluation, we would determine whether we want to offer what they're asking or more or possibly less. If there's no offers on the property, typically I wouldn't suggest we offer full price because we don't have to. But that all depends on market evaluation. Are there any offers or are there not? We typically ask that question as soon as the buyer shows interest in the property. So if we're out looking at 5 homes today and you decide that you really like one of them, we walk out the door, that's going to be the first phone call I make, is to that agent asking them, do they have offers? Because we don't want it to be sold by the time we sit down and write an offer and then we submit it to find out the house is already sold. Another super important question to ask is, how flexible or not is the seller on closing? Do they have any flexibility, or do they have a specific need that we can accommodate to help for the negotiations of the property? If a seller's got flexibility and a buyer needs a certain date, we can work together to make that happen, or vice versa. Maybe a seller needs to be out by a certain date and the buyer is renting or living with parents or who knows what. We try to work those things together in the negotiations to make it work out the best for both parties. There's different scenarios. So let's say the seller, I don't know, he's moving out of state and he needs more, or she needs more time to pack up and get out. So they might ask for a closing, but they need their money. Let's go back. Let's say they need the money from this closing to go to the new state they're moving to. I just had this actually happen to me, where a seller was selling and relocating to Texas, and they needed the funds from here to take to Texas to buy. So they closed here and then they delayed the occupancy. So they closed, got their money, and then delayed occupancy for 30 days so they could go close on the new house and then move out. Last but finally not least, we would ask, is there anything else we can add to this offer to sweeten it up for the seller? Every seller has a different need. So it can be they're going to a retirement home. They have a lot of stuff to get rid of, so they need a little bit of extra time. Or it's just very stressful, so they need a little bit of extra time. Or it might be that the house is vacant and they'd like to close really fast because the less it sits there vacant, the better off they are. Every scenario is going to have a little bit different need or variation. It's just trying to work the buyer and seller together to make the best for both of them. There can possibly be issues with a seller who closes and then asks for a lease back. A lease back would be if a seller closes and rents the property back from the purchaser for a certain period of time. And it's typically paid out principal, interest, taxes, and insurance per day. So we call it a per diem. So it's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance divided by 30 and then charged for each day of that rent back that's needed. The issue is that seller, what happens if they do damage to the property while they're there? What happens if they don't move out on time? That's why we hold money in escrow. That money is held until that occupancy is given so that it guarantees that seller is going to move out on time. So these are just 3 questions that you should ask going into a contract, but there are a ton more. If you have any questions, reach out. I'd be happy to help you.